Megan.
Hi.
I have a couple of questions that I would like to ask you about your experience, dealing with Spanish, because as you are a native speaker, I would like to ask you how hard it has been for you to, to develop yourself and also to interact with other people, being here in Mexico through Spanish in this case.
Yes.
How has been your experience so far?
Well, at first it was really hard because I couldn't make my jokes or be like my normal personality, my funny self in Spanish, because I didn't know all the ways to do that, to have humor and to communicate that. And I was working so hard to understand that sometimes I would be slower to respond. So then, maybe you seem not as smart as you actually are, because you have to think so hard about the language and you get so tired doing everything. So the first month I was here, I would feel so tired just like after going on the bus and going to the plaza or to the store, because I was having to do everything in both languages, and that wasn't very easy or quick for me at the time. But it's gotten a lot better with time. Now it's been 2.5 months, and I think I can make more jokes in Spanish. I can follow conversations more. Now I'm accidentally eavesdropping on conversations because I can understand things I maybe am not supposed to be listening to. But that's mostly my experience.
Oh, so after this month, you feel more confident about, carrying out a conversation with Spanish native speakers, okay?
Yes.
So, did you notice, or have you noticed that if you have developed like strategies that help you like to, get more easily what, for example, Mexicans, we say when we use like these Mexican idioms and understand the meaning of this.
Yeah.
What did you do to achieve this?
Well, I have some people I can ask. So if I don't understand, okay, I'll make a list and I'll say, what does this mean? What about this? What about this? What about this? And then I can learn them that way. But I've also gotten good at asking people questions. So if I think I understand what they're saying or what they're asking me, I ask a question back to them to clarify, and then that's my own check. Like, okay, did I understand? Yes, I understood. We're on the same page. Now I can answer instead of just answering and maybe I said an answer I didn't want to say or it wasn't the truth.
Okay, and talking about that, was there, I don't know if I could say it in this way, was there an experience in which you got like embarrassed, or like you feel a little bit like maybe confused or shy because you used maybe an expression that wasn't appropriate for the situation you were dealing with?
Yes, last 2 weeks ago, I was asking somebody to drive me somewhere, and I used the verb traer instead of llevar, because I learned llevar as like to carry.
Yes.
And when I think of carry, I think of a baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a baby, I don't need you to carry me. But then I realized after I used like puedes traerme, then I was like, oh, that didn't sound right. Something was weird. So then I asked Karen, I said, why don't we use traer? Traer means bring, right? And she explained that means for an object or an item, not a person. And so then I could learn and like process that with her and say, oh, I used the wrong word. So then today when I asked the same person the same question, I fixed it. So I was able to learn. It wasn't that embarrassing because everybody is very patient with me. But it was one of those moments like, oh, okay, the textbook Spanish I learned in school is not always perfect. There's also context and culture that I'm learning and having to practice here.
Okay, and after this experience, or after this time that you have spent here in Mexico, you were talking about important issues like the language that you were being taught in the school is not the one that you were going to use here in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I guess this happened also in the same way for us.
Yes.
Because the English that we learned at the school is not the one that we're gonna use in real life. So is there any piece of advice that you could make now that you have experienced this for Spanish native speakers, in this case when we are trying to use English with English native speakers?
Yes. Well, mostly you just have to practice with native speakers. That's why I'm here. That's my job. So I'm able to sit in English classes and the teacher is teaching out of the textbook and I can say, nope, actually we would say it this way, or there's an easier way to say this, or that was really formal, you would never say it that way with your friends. And then I'm able to practice that with students and with professors, teachers here. So I think that's my biggest advice. Like, I wouldn't have learned any of this if I hadn't immersed myself into Mexican culture, Mexican language, and Mexican school. And so any opportunity that people learning English have to speak with native English speakers is the best advice I have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Megan, for your help. I hope my teacher,
Yes.
like this interview and it works for my assignment. Thank you.
Happy to help.